در مقامی که نیستیست ادب در مقامی که نیستیست ادب عاجزی هم جسارت دیگر است رو به تفهیم انفس و آفاق رو به تفهیم انفس و آفاق جهد کن که این مهارت دیگر است جهد کن که این مهارت دیگر است.
Welcome to the Hazara Pioneers Library on Amunji strategy at Mechidtv in Quetta Valley, addressing the Hazara communities around the world, wherever you may be, suffering from the destiny of war and migration for the last 130 years. Narrator is Narozawar with Chagar behind the cameras and being the singular audience at the moment. Before you, any one of you could hear this. The story of pain, of course, of prisoners of war, of Gul Begum in a Vizier's Daughter, story written by LILLIAS Hamilton and printed in 1900 in London and is presented to you today. Now that the mistress is going to see Gul Begum in chapter 21, a ladies' sauna, hammam zanana, in the haram. Chiskar mashenji. Bakulo and Nosago together. Fortune seemed to favor Gul Begum next morning. Khushqismati se, before very long, the slave girl to whom she had spoken on the day of her arrival and who had given her the bread and sour curd, the following morning came upstairs and called her. Amo, diga kaniz. Bibi is just finishing her sauna after her hum-hum, which is a Turkish bath, and has sent for you. She wants to speak to you alone, she said. Then in a lower tone, she added, now is your time to get some clothes from her. You need them badly. Toki aziyatuna ki mi waqt ki godana bari kalama az bigri diye. So the girl followed her guide with an almost trembling eagerness. It was not clothes she wanted. It was release. But how to get it? They crossed the quadrangle, went up few steps, and Gul Begum had to stoop to get into the apartment into which she was ushered. So low was the doorway, the floor was concreted and felt very hot to her feet, and the air was leaden with moisture. There was a rough wooden door opposite that by which she had entered, and she could see beyond a smaller room too, from which a considerable amount of steam and heat was evidently coming. Gul Begum had never seen a Turkish bath before. She was puzzled and not a little alarmed. The cry to, or whichever she had heard in the night, recurred to her. And she turned instinctively and looked at the door through which the slave girl was on the point of making her exit. Khosh Amadi, welcome, the lady of the house said graciously. Gul Begum had hardly noticed her. She was so taken up with her other surroundings. But on being thus recalled to a sense of what was due to her hostess or mistress, whichever she might prove to be, you are well, Khosh Bashin, Salamat bashin. She returned with an inclination of her head, remembering suddenly how much depended on this interview. Remain in peace, Aram bashin, continued the lady. You have not seen a hum-hum before? I dare say. Would you like to go and look around? Hammam Turki nahi des pesh? Porsayko. Before you come and speak to me? I would, the girl said quietly, somewhat reassured. This seems to me a strange place. It must be pleasant in cold weather. Sauna. So saying, she advanced towards the inner chamber. There was not much to see when she got there, only a very hot room, almost dark and full of steam. There was a deep, dark hole in the wall. Gul Begum put her arm through and came to the tank containing the hot water which the attendant bathed women throw on their mistresses. As they lie flat on the ground on a deer or tiger skin put down for the purpose. Going through the process of scrubbing, first with a thick sort of mud, then with a kind of soap, next with a rough glove which seemed to take the very skin off, leaf, and finally with a cool white powder called sufedi, whitening. Very comforting after the kneading and scouring that has gone on before, but not becoming. It makes one so ghastly white. When her eyes got accustomed to the light, she saw two brass taps, below the opening in the wall, wondering what they were for she had never seen such a thing. She stooped and turned the cock, and immediately the water began to run. What convenience, the girl said to herself. This is indeed a luxurious place. One turns one little handle and hot water comes, and another, and one has cold water. It is all very wonderful, and rejoicing in the discovery of what had interested her, her cheeks hot from the atmosphere she had been standing in. She returned to the outer room and rejoined the lady, who still sat on the floor amid the mysteries of the Afghan sauna. Her mistress, for such in fact she might for the time being at any rate consider herself, looked up and noted the girl's appearance. She is very handsome, she thought, and a hard expression came into her face. Many and confused thoughts chased one another through her brain. What position was this new arrival to occupy? Hitherto, since her marriage, she had been mistress in this house, ruling the other wives and slaves with none too gentle a hand. تماما تايتيخ كده وديجا بيجاماترام خانماي دويم سيم شارم پنجم دوام بيستم غلام آرامی رقم تيسوچا كده ان مينجي بادشاهي ميچلا. What place was this new girl to occupy? Her beauty was undeniable, and there was something more than ordinary beauty in that erect head, elastic steps, and graceful carriage. Bawaqar. The Bibi saw it all and trembled for her own position. She has undoubted beauty. Ho, qawaradra ho. She said to herself again, then smiled. But with a man, beauty is not everything. It may conquer for a time. یک چند وقت وری میچله بیوتی هم میچله زیبایی هم میچله مرتکه دلش خوشه مگر دزی سیر رزی نمیچله. But it takes more than mere beauty to hold him fast. که قد خود خور نگاه کنه غیر از بیوتی دیگه چیزم دکاره چرا که بیوتی خود بازار زیاده. She is a simple village maiden, this girl. یک دخترکه. What does she know? I have arts of which she knows nothing. موضوع كمالات بلدهم هنراي بلدهم كمرتكات شرقم. قلت خو جام كني. I shall soon overthrow her when her first flush of possession is over. To be like the fact بايا فراز شاهيرم خاتو كنا یک چند روزیم بیچله کاربار شی باز ما میگردم که چطور میچله. She can be no rival to me. تمام ده فکرش میچله درم. قال گڑبڑ زدره نمفهمه کی قضیه چیز کار کنم ما. Gulbegum stood still, watching the lady as she proceeded with her sauna. To her it all seemed wonderful, and she had not the slightest idea of the jealousy she was rousing in the breast of the woman who sat before her. Apparently so innocently engaged with her pots of ointment and powder, her rouge and her antimony. سرخی پاودر و سرما وزی که پای امت مصروفه دیگه. ای گلبیگم قرار منتظر کی چیز مو قال دو فکرایش نیه کی خود رو منتظر یکی چیز کم کنی جای زیر چیز کم از مر نگره چیکار کنی برنامه ترس خورده اینسکیور شده نه نو دخترم داده منی محل. You do not use antimony for your eyes. شما سرما استفاده ننین برای چمای خو. She said, addressing the girl, do none of your people use it? به نظر من شما مردم سرما ننینده چیم خواه؟ I think not. من فکر نمره. Gulbegum said, I have never seen it before. هیچ ندیدم. Nor henna? خنم ننین شما? For your hands? Dear me, what a lot we shall have to teach you. خیلی چیزا باید شما یاد بی شما هیچ چیز یاد ندارین. زندگی رو یاد ندارین شما. We shall have to do your hands and feet up in henna tonight. دست پای شما رو امشب خنه نی شما بینگرن که چیز هسته. Then you will be ready for your hum tomorrow. برای حمام ترکی فردا آماده باشی. It is very pleasant and I have some very good women who will bathe and massage you well. Gulbegum blushed. Oh, I can do everything for myself. It lazim niye. Zaruri ma hamesha khudum kara khmunam. She said hurriedly. I shall not require anyone to wait on me. Khidmat kar lazim nadram. I am not accustomed to it. Adat az kar aram nadram. The older woman laughed. That may have been well enough for your old days. O zaman guzasht khuda biyamurz in your home among the mountains. O koistana shayad qissa nabda. But it won't do here. You are to be one of Farhad Shah's wives and must learn the customs of this country and must conform to them. Halkin jamde yad bigar diye. Tu khatui Farhad Shah shudani. Ya kes khatunaish. Gulbegum pulled herself together. Now the supreme moment had come, the moment when she must make a wild effort for freedom and win or lose it forever. Bibi, she said, I cannot be Farhad Shah's wife. There are reasons why I can be no man's wife. But I fear to tell you, you may be angry. You're going to tell me you're married. ازدواج كده علي أزول. The lady said hurriedly, or that you have already been named on someone. يا نامي كاس دي All that will make no difference to Farhad Shah. He is not particular about little details of that sort. Besides, you are a slave girl, a war prisoner. No former tie need be recognized now. The jang tamam qanuna maidaya, even by the most religious. And no one would call Farhad Shah that. The girl bent forward, Peshamat, and whispered something in the lady's ear. I was married once, but I was returned to my father's house. Matalaq shudum, she added, not quite truthfully. Her mistress laughed. Ah, that's it? Is it? Then why were you sent here? Whose doing was that? I was sent by the soldiers. And I've been waiting for a chance to explain things to you. Oh, Bibi, when my husband sent me home, he beat me and ill-treated me, and you have no idea what I suffered. My beauty is a great misfortune to me. It only gets me into trouble. Then kneeling down before her, Sarizanu, she went on hurriedly as though she feared there wouldn't be no time for all that she had to say. Foran Bilzanu kim chance misnashna. I have thought of a plan, and I think it would suit you well. I know something of Farhad Shah and of his practices. Ma khabar daram kamo besh dabare Farhad Shah. Ah, then you know something, the lady interposed in an almost inaudible whisper. You cannot know all. He is bad beyond all description, beyond all imagination. He is a monster. Like bala bala. What you say will make no difference. He will want you all the same for your beauty. فقط أمور كبيرة أنا ما قلت is fine. A jealous pang gnawed the older woman's heart. Listen, Bibi, Gul Begum went on. In this house, you are all powerful. Till he returns, you can do anything you please. Swear over your woman to tell everyone that I am hideous and untidy, mailayam, bisyar sharir, bisyar kamina, and cannot work as hich karnium, khatunui haram sarayra amir bugin shuma mashmu guzarish, please. Hami tamam intam taragas khochma, ajda kar nadram amira. Faqad amir berizma kanin ki amir qam, and am generally worthless. And send us all away. Gumkin rang is narabagin. Faltu. Sell us all to someone. The lady smiled a gratified smile. I cannot do that, she said. I am not so powerful as you think, but I can do something, and I will do my best to help you. You do not wish to remain here? You would rather go somewhere else? I would rather go where I am wanted as a servant. Ma borma munji khadim bashum, khadama bashum, nokar bashum. Faqat buga kyan motor bahizir nokar mekhayi to the car asyan munji ma ununji morum. And not as a wife. I know what it means. I have gone through much already. Spare me, Bibi, if you can, and send us all away. Jan khurazma khalas kin yago raqam. I can do nothing till Farhad Shah comes home, she said. But he's probably coming here this evening. Imshawam the niyasta with Farhad Shah. Gul Begum's heart gave a great throb of pain and anxiety. almost of hopelessness. He has heard of your arrival. And I have had instructions from him this morning that you are to be properly clothed and got ready generally to receive him tomorrow. By the receive kini. So you see, it would be quite impossible for me to get rid of you. The old doorkeeper would not let you through. The girl smiled. A little ray of hope danced in her eyes. Bibi, let me manage the doorkeeper. Ukarazmaya, she said. I think I could persuade him. The older woman looked at her, saw the triumph, the light in her eyes, and seemed about to change her mind. She felt the power of this woman. I do not believe what you have told me, she said. It's all made up, a lie. Gulbegum interrupted her. Bibi, what I have told you is to my disadvantage. This is फायदे इसमें चीज़ है कि मारी बारना मारते हो तो माम को तुम्हारा मसलन मोर हाइबत को मोर दूर को नज़र में बेकार इन फालतू इन बेमाना इन चुमा. Not yours. I am young. I am handsome. Why should I not marry happily and be the head of my husband's house? I am your junior by many years. The elder woman turned around and addressed her anxiously. But instead of that, you ask for obscurity and probable ill treatment among the servants. That is so. The girl said and sighed. I ask to go to some household where I can work and where I shall attract no notice. Does that look as though I had lied? Each is the romanezi. The lady looked at her again. Well, you are a strange girl, but it would suit me well enough. I dare say, for you go and do as you seem to wish, but first you must wait for Farhad Shah's orders. I cannot act in this matter without them. It is out of the question. Then, Bibi, do this. Gul Begum replied, send us all like common laborers, Muzdurawari, to weed the big garden and remove the stones. Tell Farhad Shah you find we have tried to deceive both him and you as to our former position. That we are mere nobodies, and that awaiting his return you have sent us to our proper place. شما باین ما اینا را مثلا سر جایشی در کارشی اختا کده بریم زو چیز که نامناسبه تمام فریب بوده اینا. To the garden to work among the ordinary laborers, I can make myself look so different to what I do now that you even would not know me. Then when you have told him that we are low-born and useless and all the rest that I have told you, he will soon send us off. He will not want for extra useless mouths to feed. Do you realize what you're asking for? The lady went on, surprised. I don't think we can have considered what your fate will be. If Farhad Shah sends you away, and you will probably all get the stick before you go, you will be sent to a Kabul prison. نیترنام که خبر دیگه شما اینجا مندنین فوراً prisoners of war هستن برین در کابل. Have you any idea what a Kabul prison is like? Gulbegum shivered. She had an idea, only she felt nothing could be worse than what she had seen and heard in this beautiful garden. وفقط یک کم ایده خور چلنده بود دیگه ما چی خبر که کابل از بعدی کابل پریزن رایی کد باز. And like a Hazara, again, she wished to throw off her present burden and let the future concern itself with the next one when it comes. باز پیش پای خطه من که امی خلاص نسر ما خیر باز میبینی سبا. خبر نیک سبا prison of Kabul. For the moment, she was satisfied to get out of the difficulty in which she then found herself. Bibi, she said, I know what must be my fate. Because I know what my fate has been. I know I am beautiful, and I know if once Farad Shah sees me, I shall be in difficulties. Do not be offended at my suggesting such a thing. The idea is indeed abhorrent to me. Mam khosh nadar mi idea. He may for a time place me even above you. Agar masalan گفت که نو خاطو وردم اگر ما شموم بالتر اگر بقام از مرجور کنه دزی خمام بالکل هرگز راضی نیم دزی. Let me go before such a thing can happen. Send us to the big garden to work there as I have suggested. But how about the other woman? Your woman as well as ours. دیگه دان از نار که خب کنه کی چی برنامه اینا شرید کده. My woman wished to leave with me, the girl went on, and as to yours, tell them that in a long conversation with me, you have discovered the truth about us. که ما از این انترویو گرفتم معلوم کردم که کی دختری وزیر و میری تمامش دروغ و فریب بوده اینا میتر بازی داشتیم و ما این حقیقت از نار پیدا کردیم اینا فقط مزدورای نوکروی که باید برد جایخ بیشنه کار کنه. And that as a punishment you are going to get rid of us. The lady smiled. There are many among them who would think that a strange punishment. این رواجت نیه رقم punishment که ما خوش منامد بگی برشن برن از اینجا. اونا ما هیچی رقم punishment ها. Gulbegum bent forward and took her hand. Whatever happens, she said, whether I succeed or fail, I wish to thank you now, before the immediate future is known to either of us, for the gracious way in which you have listened to my request. Whatever you may be to others, you have been kind to me, and I am forever grateful to you. I would serve you if I could. For a moment, the horrors of the house, the scenes with the slave girl, all was forgotten. She only felt grateful for the helping hand that was being stretched out to her in her trouble. It blotted out for the time being all the other details. She was not wise enough to analyze motives. کی مثلا ما خود یک نفر که از خود برنامه میدم او رو در نظر نمیگیرم که او چیز هر کس از خود یک موتیو داره نه. She did not go for character study. یعنی خامی بود که او کردار نمیتونست بشناسه بخانه. Had she done so, she would soon have found that Farhad Shah's chief wife was a most typical Afghan. Idle, lazy, luxurious, aish parast, treacherous, wahshi, capricious, kamina, capable of the most unheard of cruelties. और जुल्म की तो हद इश्ताना में देखी चिर खम में इतना वो कदर क्रूअल बाशा, जालिम बाशा, वहशी बाशा, but with certain generous impulses. वाज़मिंगरने की सुब चाशावम तर अस्सखावतम this is not waza. And possessed of a gracious, courtly manner. आदाब दरबार और शाहाना तर्ज ज़िंदगी, when it suited her to assume it. A willingness to help others so long as it cost her nothing. कि مثلا از ما خوب ولی از ما خودم خرچه نمایه نه سه خوب ما خطک مهربانی منو. By her desire to show her position and influence. Somehow too this girl had a power of flattering her. What she said and did came straight from her heart. Anyone could see that. There was nothing in the least artificial about it. Amir Karkani. Farad Shah's wife felt this and it pleased her. Remain in peace, Aram Bashin, she said, and do not misunderstand my change in my manner towards you. I shall have to dissemble and you will too. While she was still speaking, the slave girl entered. Take this woman from out of my sight, she exclaimed excitedly. Take her away, she almost yelled, and rising from the floor where she had been sitting, she endeavored to thrush both her and the attendant outside the door. Gulbegum gazed at her in absolute wonder. So rapid had been the transformation. Again, she saw before her the woman who had kicked and lashed the slave girl for what had been a mere accident, and the whole of the former horror and terror at finding herself in such surroundings returned. She rose hurriedly to her feet. You hear what I say? Her mistress yelled, still addressing her attendant. Put them outside that garden gate. These laborers who came to us disguised as princesses, as to tell us they are the chief's and the vizier's daughter. Send them to their proper sphere and put them to the work for which they were born. And send me the darwan here. Darwan, Bakul. The slave girl advanced towards her mistress. Sahib, Pishamat, she whispered in her ear, consider well, fikr khainit. Farad Shah returns today. You know him. He will see this woman. You cannot prevent him, unless perhaps for a day or two or most. And when he has seen her, who knows what her position may be. If you maltreat her now, she may have a chance of causing you to remember it later. Be advised, she has looks. Look, has she? Roared the mistress. Cursed be the father of her looks. But do as I tell you, take her away from me. How dare you leave her here when I have ordered you to remove her? And send me the darwan here. I have a good deal to say to him. It is possible he too may have been deceived. But I will undeceive him. Thus comes the end of chapter 21. My dear Nosago and Bakulo and Ajego, everybody, wherever in the Hazara communities you might be hearing Mechidtv, and continuously from the last 21 chapters we have been narrating it to you. Of course, some of them will come in time to you. And I think there is not much to say as the story unfolds. You can imagine 100 in 18 years ago or 130 years ago. What's going on around in the world? There is empire fighting. Great game is going on. But in this great game, there are small moves. And in that small move, we have got LILLIAS Hamilton working in a king placed by the British Empire in Kabul and tells him to look after this place, be a chowkidar of this place, don't let the Russian Tsar روس ها که استبعد اینجی 130 سال پیش و آن مرقم دوران 20th century ای بدبختی دزی کوهستان آوی دزی ملتی مملکتی که از 101 سال شاید یا 130 سال از خاطر great game they are dispersed in great distances and great troubles, and of course many have suffered, historically speaking. These are all historic perspectives, and if you want the evidences, if you want the evidence of anything, because this is a fiction work, okay? This is not history we are reading for you. This is a fiction. She has written it. One person has sit down as a doctor. She is working in RAHMAN's palace, and she has seen, and she is of course dealing with women and haram sarai, and she has heard these stories from Gul Begum. And then she has put it into a novel, Qissa Dastan, which we are narrating to you after 118 years. It comes back just to point you towards your history and geography, your ancestral history and geography, all the migrant Hazaras I'm talking about. در جایی که هستین امروز شما در هر citizenship هر کشور جهان که هستین you have survived a genocide, and that's the story that you will discover through the history books, and I hope the historians, especially the Hazara archives, Haji Gulzari should be remembered for always promoting this cause of digging into the history, bringing out as much as possible and showing it to the new generation. Because if you forget about the last pain, you will have to see another pain. History repeats itself. We shall not want it to happen. The times are tough for a lot of people, but for the migrants, those who are leaving off their loved ones, their loved lands, their loved atmosphere, and they are pushed to places where they are not wanted. And we should remember all the migrants stuck in camps who are coming, at times you see through the social media that they are protesting, asking for the right of life, and they are kept as heard and forgotten by the governments who claim to be standing on the human rights. But some humans are more human than others, probably, and that is why we would like to point to this one today, that whoever controls the media, the image, image. Whoever controls that controls the culture. So what images you are watching, what you are viewing, what is going through your head, how much of that is about yourself? That much you know yourself. And who are you, by the way? A warrior in a garden or a gardener in a war? Haikido, Norozawar.